We've been asked to sacrifice during this pandemic, but what about those who've lived through hard times before?
I remember all of the rationing that they did.
Police in Colorado have shut off radio scanners to the public. Now there's word of another effort to open them up after past failures at the Capitol. And what's the deal with people getting unemployment debit cards out of the blue? We've got a major birthday to celebrate. There's always room for some good news, and that's why we are next. 3:03 a.m. this morning. Denver police tweet out about an assault downtown. You were probably asleep and it didn't affect you, but the facts might. Late this morning, we learned that assault was actually a stabbing and a shooting. Accuracy matters. We sometimes rely on Denver police to tell us the story since the department encrypted its police radio traffic last summer. We can't hear that traffic. Transparency matters. So in full transparency, I will tell you, I testified in front of the state legislature this year to get those scanners turned back on for the public. It failed. They're still off. But there's going to be a new push next year to turn them back on. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains why.
The protests that marched on Denver streets led to a fast-track police reform law meant to change police behavior and expand transparency. That transparency did not include turning police radio scanners back on for public consumption. A number of law enforcement agencies have encrypted their scanner traffic, like Denver police, this time last year.
Protesters might have actually known when they were about to be tear gassed or shot with rubber bullets. There were not disbursement orders given. We know that now.
That argument by Democratic State Representative Leslie Herod in favor of scanner access is the same argument law enforcement uses to keep them quiet, so that police strategy won't be compromised in real time. And law enforcement have won the last 3 years at the state capitol, defeating legislation to limit scanner encryption.
If you're talking about tactical operations, there might be a reasonable explanation for some type of exemption. It's absolutely something that we should have access to, especially during protests, and that's not an exemption that I would be interested in entertaining.
Herod recently made her pitch about scanner transparency to a national audience on Vice.
It's Democrats and Republicans coming together saying that we need access.
How is that true that both sides are working together when Democrats who have been in charge haven't seen it move forward?
That's a great question. You know, the bill has actually not been heard, in my understanding, by the Judiciary Committee. And that's where I think it needs to go.
That's a bit inside baseball for which committees are assigned which bills. Each of the last 3 years, Highlands Ranch Republican Representative Kevin Van Winkle sponsored a bill to limit police radio encryption. This past year, it was co-sponsored with a Democrat and still did not get out of its first committee hearing.
If folks want to say it's a Republican-led measure and Democrats fought it back, then I will say that I am a Democrat who will not fight it back and who will help to lead and push this forward.
I will point out a topic we've actually talked about here on Next. Denver police have offered us access to their scanners if we sign an agreement that comes with a few clauses we're not comfortable with. One of those clauses would open up our company records to government access, and that's not an agreement our station's willing to agree, Jeremy.
All right, Marshall, great report on this. Let's see what happens this next legislative session. RTD announced 3 finalists to be its new top boss, CEO, and general manager today. They are Deborah Johnson, who worked at transit departments in Washington, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Long Beach. Adelie Legrand, who worked at transit agencies in Atlanta and New Orleans. And Tina Quigley, who was recently the CEO for the Regional Transport Commission of Southern Nevada. Whoever gets this job will have a pretty rough road ahead. RTD announced that at the end of July, they're anticipating an $848 million budget shortfall from 2021 to 2026. That's substantial. RTD is expected to make its selection on this new position on August 25th. A 9 News viewer contacted me the other day and said he got 4 debit cards in the mail, all with different names from the state's labor department. These are cards that can be used to get unemployment money. When I started looking into this, it turns out the state has been seeing a load of fraud over the last several weeks. Here's what's going on.
Every Saturday, I started getting cards addressed to at my address for other people.
Thankfully, the unemployment cards are not loaded with cash, but for Roger James of Loveland, it has been baffling and frustrating. Not only is he getting these cards, he can't even get the state to resolve his unemployment benefits.
I don't know if that's why my account is now on hold.
Turns out fraudsters across the country have been applying for pandemic relief by using names and addresses of people who may have been past victims of fraud. Because the state sends everyone who applies for unemployment a card, it's a sign scam artists are stealing identities to try and fool the state into putting money into a bank account. States across the country, including Colorado, are seeing a phenomenal amount of these fraud attempts per week.
We're proud of the fact that we're identifying and recognizing and stopping a lot of fraudulent activity before it gets in. And on new claims, it can be somewhere between 30 to 50%, depending upon the day or the week.
That is thousands of attempts every week the state has to stop. And for Roger, an unemployed professional musician, he's just wondering what to do next because he can't even get the state to fix his problem.
But I'm literally at the point of having to give up my studio, sell off some valued, like a legacy piano and things like that.
What a tough position to be in. We've been doing stories on people like Roger who are stuck and just cannot get an answer from the state's overwhelmed labor system. This week, the Department of Labor said a new virtual assistant should help with the loads of calls and questions coming in from thousands of people. If you've happened to receive cards like this, not in your name, the state is asking you to report it to police and on their website. Colorado, in the meantime, processed more than 13,000 COVID-19 tests yesterday. The state has been averaging just under 11,000 per day for the last 7 days. Meanwhile, our positivity rate over the last 7 days is 2.56%. 201 people are currently hospitalized with COVID-19 in Colorado. 19 patients have been discharged or transferred in the last 24 hours. And Colorado added 457 new COVID-19 cases. Our 7-day average right now is at 440 per day. That's down more than 100 per day from this time last week.
I know that what we're asking of you isn't easy, but it's important to put it in perspective that it is easier than what has been asked of Americans in their 20s and 30s at different times in our history.
And that was Governor Jared Polis in a coronavirus briefing earlier this week. We wanted to hear more about experiences of Colorado seniors during World War II, about the sacrifices they had to make. Allie Levine asked what it was like growing up during that time and what's different about it today.
Stop thinking of yourself and think about the society you're living in. Are you helping improve it, or are you trying to bring it down?
My name is Jerry Gloystein.
Ralph Hentz.
My name is Leonard Custer.
I was born in July 1929.
1935.
I was 13 years old when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
We did all kinds of things in the war to help the war effort.
And I remember all of the rationing that they did.
Everything was rationed.
The gas,
Meats in the stores.
sugar, flour.
The war was on full-fledged, and I think that the nation was really probably pulled together much more than it has any time in my lifetime.
I feel that at that time, we all worked together.
It's just the way everything was.
I do not see that same sense today.
I'd say it's a completely different world.
I think we've become a little selfish, perhaps.
World War II was what a goal. We had a good reason to come together. This virus thing is so unknown, and that's what makes it scary.
Everybody should wear a mask.
If a mask will make the difference, we should wear it.
Wearing the masks is for everyone's good.
But they sure are inconvenient. I don't get an awful lot of kisses anymore.
So I don't mind at all putting my little face mask on.
I love that story. I love that guy, Mr. Custer. He's got a great sense of humor. That story from Allie Levine and Corky Shull. All of those seniors live at the assisted living facility, Morning Star in Wheat Ridge. Great story. You continued your donations in a big way this week, as you do every week, for our Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. So far this week, you've raised more than $8,000 for the Colorado 14ers Initiative. This nonprofit protects Colorado's highest peaks from the wear and tear of our treks up and down them. I did 3 of them this summer, by the way. There is still a lot of time for you to help out if you would like to contribute. You can text THANKS to 303-871-1491 and we'll send you a link to donate. You can also find it on our social media pages.
This profession is historically very white and very male-dominated, and I wouldn't even say historically, it's currently that.
She's unique to Colorado, the state's only black female architect. Her thoughts about building diversity. The sun in her face and the wind at her back. A big birthday. It's her good news for the day, and it's next.
A break from severe thunderstorms heading into the weekend. More of this, bright sunshine and highs in record territory. Just missed a record by 2 degrees in Denver today at 97. Triple-digit highs across the eastern Colorado, and we're going to continue to see that heat with high pressure as our dominant feature and very little moisture coming in for cloud cover or thunderstorms to cool us. A few showers down around Trinidad and Lamar, but the pattern is for hot, dry weather with highs in record territory until Monday. But you made it through the week. Fair skies and 65 this Friday night. Sunshine mid-90s on Saturday. We go warmer Sunday and then cooler Monday. A 30% chance of showers from storms Monday and then a string of 90-degree days with a stray storm every other afternoon.
Casey Taylor is special. One of one in her line of work. She's Colorado's only licensed black female architect. Of course, this isn't a historically white male-dominated profession. She's carving out her own lane, and she spoke with photojournalist Corky Shull about what she loves about her job and why she hopes to see more people like her doing it in the future.
I think that's what architecture is about. It's about people, and it's about connection and being inviting and being welcoming to people and just kind of bringing everyone together. Well, my name is Casey Taylor. I'm a licensed architect here in Colorado and California. I've been working in the profession for about 14 years. It can be so much fun. I love designing projects. I love being creative and thinking about what a space can be and how it can really serve people. I really do believe that architecture has the power to do so much and to improve people's lives. I think the biggest challenges that I've experienced is, and to be blunt, to be a female and to be a black female in architecture. This profession is historically very white and very male dominated, and I wouldn't even say historically, it's currently that. And so some of the biggest issues I've dealt with are really dealing with people and what comes from being not a white male in architecture. I think it's slowly very starting to change, and I think the newer generation of architects in school who are growing up it's a lot more diverse. But I think historically, especially for African American people, we weren't welcomed. And to an extent, we still aren't welcome in the profession. There's many reasons, I think, why we have the situation that we have today. And I think there's many reasons why I'm the only licensed black female architect currently in Colorado. Hopefully it'll change soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Good luck to you. The most recent demographics we could find on this profession were back from 2017. According to the National Council of Architectural Registrations Board, men made up 68% of new certificate holders. Black men and women made up only 2% of new certificate holders. How about that?
How's it going, Gene?
Just great.
All right.
Come along for the ride as this woman celebrates a major birthday.
You get to be in a relationship with seniors, the wisdom, the love, the joy that they bring.
And our Friday good news, next. It's green chili season, by the way. So it's Friday, and as always on Fridays, we want to share some good news with you. Today's good news is a woman in Colorado celebrating her 101st birthday by getting outside to feel the wind in her hair. 9 News photojournalist Tom Cole went along for the ride with Jean for her special day.
Today is an awesome day. Miss Jean Mill is 101 today. Happy birthday to you. It just is, I can't tell you, the breath of fresh air, the smiles.
How's it going, Jean?
Just great. The social interaction that happens. When our trishaw comes by, it's like, and so we purposely stop. It's about relationship.
Thank you so much for coming out and letting us wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thank you for being here. My goal always when I take a birthday ride is how many people can we get to sing and to say happy birthday? And we just make fun stuff like that.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom.
It's a blessing. It's, not many people are this fortunate, and especially with her good health. It's pretty good.
You don't ride fast because you want to really soak in the environment, the people, the atmosphere.
Thank you, Anna.
We are there to bring wind in people's hair, and it, again, does as much for us as pilots as it does for our clients.
Happy birthday to you.
Make a wish and blow it out.
What a fun ride. Cycling Without Age is a non-profit international organization that provided the free ride for Jean. They are always looking for riders and volunteers. Jean says the secret to living so long is behaving. It's a sign of the invasion. Texas extends its border into Colorado, and we share your feedback next. It's a sign that we're not in Kansas or Colorado anymore. Someone put Texas over Aspen on the Aspen city limits sign on Highway 82 as you drive into town. We've got a lot of emails about this, how a lot of Texans are spending their summer in the high country. Seems someone took their displeasure with those visitors to another level, huh? Either that or the Texans have invaded officially this area of Aspen. The Aspen Police Department posted this photo on their Facebook page today saying, "To the crazy criminal who marked up our city limits sign, we friggin' love ya." One of their officers snapped the photo after someone called them about it around 7 o'clock this morning. They did end their post with saying, "The Aspen Police Department protecting the Wild West since the 1880s. And a lot of you had a lot of feedback about this. Scott said, "Glad to see the Aspen Police Department has a sense of humor." Rachel says, "I would love to know who did this, but probably better if they stay anonymous." Yeah, I think so too. Doris says, "Fine, just please learn to drive like Coloradans. Just saying." Are Texas drivers really that bad? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't mess with Texas, or maybe they shouldn't mess with us. Thanks for watching us here in Colorado. Have a good weekend.